Hi y'all, Joefer here, the Cranky Old Gay Guy. It is Tuesday, the 11th of February, and it's about 25 or 6 degrees outside. It is cold. All the moisture on the ground has iced up. The little puddles are frozen. Oh, I had to wear my little earmuffs because it was, my ears were ready to fall off my head. It was that bad. But that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about finding your tribe, or in other words, from loneliness to being loved, how to make gay friends. And that is if you are a senior and you find that your friends have dissipated over the years and it's time for some new ones, some new acquaintances. Here are some options. There's like, I don't want to say tips or points, but there's 4 things that I'm going to talk about. The first is finding your tribe as a senior gay man. Yeah, I do have these written down, so you'll see me looking down on occasion to see my notes. All right? So let's face it. Going to a nightclub when you're 65 is probably not the best place to meet new friends. I mean, it might have worked in your 20s or your 30s, but you're 65 now, and there might not be, depending on the bar. I mean, if you go to the Eagle in Portland, 65 is pretty much the norm. I think the average is late 40s, mid 50s, but 65, you'll fit right in. Not an issue. But if you're going to a younger club, you're probably not going to get the same kind of interactions as you would at somewhere like the Portland Eagle. That's one way to do it, just to go and mingle, be around other gay men. Another option is to visit an LGBTQ plus senior center or a senior group in your community or your city. Now, if you don't know where those are, you can go online and just search for senior gay or senior LGBTQ plus center. If you don't find one for seniors, just find an LGBTQ plus center, contact them, ask them what kind of groups they have and if they have a senior meeting group. These aren't support groups. These are social groups. So you would get together and meet, go bowling, go have coffee somewhere. Maybe a game night or chess in the park, something like that. Just depends on you and what your community has going on. And you also want to check out some online forums. Again, I would suggest Reddit because they have forums on everything. And social media groups for seniors. That's something I was reading about, but I haven't found them. I know they're there. There's a thing called lavender lace. I think it's lavender lace. I've seen that. And there's another one with lavender that is strictly for seniors, but I haven't seen it in Portland. I've seen it in the rural areas around here. And I saw that, I believe, on the Shout Out media website online. Now, you might be surprised that your community has something you didn't know about. So that's another thing, is just kind of check. Now, this was my first little tip thing on getting out and meeting people. Another one would be, once you find that you're out and social again, how do you navigate? What do you do? How do you know how to do it? It can be intimidating to put yourself out there. I get that. If you've ever had stage fright, it's pretty similar, I think. And if you're not used to being around people, because maybe you've been alone for a while, it's even going to be harder. And I get that. That's totally true. But think about this. When you go out to meet these people, everyone is in the same boat, or they have been in the same boat. So you do have something in common already. Just be yourself, be open, be out, talk about your likes, your dislikes, probably more your likes than dislikes, because you don't want to start off with a dislike. Talk about your experiences, your interests, and you'll find people to connect to that are very similar. They might have a lot of differences, but they're going to have similarities too, and you can connect on the similarities part. Don't be afraid to take the lead. If everyone at this gathering you go to is a wallflower, you need to go pick some flowers, because otherwise everyone's just going to stand around until their petals fall off. You don't want that. So put yourself out there, approach people, introduce yourself, say, hi, I'm whatever your name is, and say, I'm into this and this and this, or this is my first time here. Have you been here before? Can you show me around? Oh, this is kind of awkward for me. And did you feel that when you first started coming? Just little things like that to start a connection. Now, to build meaningful connections at your age, you might want to feel like, I got to speed things up because I don't have 20 years to build a relationship with somebody. I get that. So the first way to do that, well, I shouldn't say the first way because I'm not an expert. These are just things I've researched and I've used some of them. They work a bit. Start listening to other people because they're going to be telling you about themselves, what they need, what their interests are. So you'll know if you're going to connect or not. And by listening, that, and really listening when someone talks to you, not just going, while you're looking around. Listen to what they say. You don't have to repeat it back to them. That's something you see in these self-help books that, people use that on me, and it's like, oh God, you've read a self-help book, and it's not endearing. But listen to what they say. So when they ask you a question, you are speaking from knowledge. You already know what they've said. You don't want to repeat something or ask them a follow-up question that they've already answered. So make sure that you listen to what they're saying. Be genuine. People can usually see right through you if you're putting on a show. If you are being braggadocious, that's going to turn people off. I mean, unless they just think you're hot and they want to hook up with you, then they might not care. But if you're trying to build an actual meaningful connection with somebody and you're braggadocious, and for people who don't know what that means, it means that you're boasting. I'm the best. I did this and I did that. Well, let me tell you the story when I made the final touchdown that won the state championship in high school. It's like, nobody cares. And if you lead off with a sports reference, I'm not going to care at all. So keep that in mind too, that not every guy is into sports and wants to hear about them. So if that is your claim to fame, before you start talking about your experiences with football, you might kind of gist out if the other person's even interested in that, because if they're not, you're going to be driving them away. How do I know? Oh, many men have driven me away by talking about sports incessantly. Just throwing that out there. And that's a personal thing. You know, if you're a jock and you're into that, that's great. And if you're around other guys that are into that, that's great. But it's something I would not lead with. And again, I can only speak from my own experience. Be patient. You can't rush things when it comes to an actual friendship. And you want this to be a serious friendship where you trust each other and you talk to each other. So don't expect to be best friends going on vacation together 2 days after you meet. It's going to take some time to build, meet people, talk to them, do things together. They get to know you, you get to know them, they get to know your history, your family if you have any in town or around. They know what you talk about, they know what you like to do. Then maybe if you're both into traveling and you talk about it, it's not something you're just going to run off and do together right now. Don't expect them to come over and watch Netflix with you, on day one. It's something that's going to take some time. So be patient. Don't rush it. And that saying, all good things take time. Well, if you want a good, communicative, strong friendship, that's going to take time too. Cultivating, this is my next point, cultivating a supportive network for senior men. And when I say senior, you don't have to be old. You just have to be middle-aged plus, put it that way. But this will work for all ages because everybody needs a network, right? Don't underestimate the power of your existing friends and your family. If you need help with something, be that just talking to somebody, reach out, find someone in your network, because someone is there and they do care and they will listen. So never feel like you're totally alone. If you've got someone that you see intermittently, etc., friend, family, niece, nephew, neighbor, and you're feeling lonely or down, talk to them. it doesn't have to be a serious conversation. You don't have to spill your guts to them. Just talk to them and say, hey, this has been on my mind lately. What do you think? Or I feel like I have a question and I'd like to tell you what I'm thinking about, and then you can tell me what you think on this subject. Just something like that to get the conversation going. And that way you're not isolated and you're not alone. Consider reaching out to a therapist or someone who specializes in working with senior or older gay men, gay, lesbian, bi, trans people. There is a whole line of therapists that deal strictly with this, as well as people who aren't technically therapists, but they're, what do they call themselves? They're like a therapist in that they listen to you, but they don't have all the training and stuff. What's it called? It's called talk therapy, but I guess they're a talk therapist, but they're not a licensed therapist. And those exist too. They're a lot cheaper than a regular therapist. But if you have issues that, and by the way, a talk therapist is like your next door neighbor. They're just listening, and they don't lead the conversation, but they ask follow-up questions. Like if you say, and I wanted to buy this car for 10 years and I still haven't done it, they might say, oh, well, why haven't you done it? Or what's keeping you from doing it? As opposed to saying, well, that's a stupid idea. You should just go out and spend the cash and do it. They're not going to do that. They can't lead the conversation. They're just there to listen. But even someone just listening to you, that's going to help. If you need something different, someone who's going to steer the conversation to get to the root of whatever's bothering you, that's something a therapist can help you with, and you should seek one of those out instead. And this is something, by the way, off subject, that's going to be coming up in the future is AI therapy. Because oftentimes you just need someone to listen. There will be realistic apps, they might even have them now, that you talk to and they're listening, and they will ask a follow-up question because they have everything that you've said in this entire thing recorded, so they can go back and they know what's been said before. They might even be able to keep track better than active listener. If they're considered therapists, they're not licensed, but they might have all of the rules that apply to a therapist in their system, so they could potentially lead the conversation too. And I think personally that is where therapy is going. So why not get on board now if there's a free therapy app out there and check it out and try it out. And the most important thing is to surround yourself with people who love and support you. This is a note I wrote down. You deserve to have a strong network of people you can count on. Well, no, Sherlock. Of course you do. Everyone does. And these were just 4 tips. Finding your tribe, where you can go out and meet people, bars, etc., online forums. Navigating the social landscape. That's pretty much getting out there, talking to people, interacting, not being afraid. Put yourself out there. Put yourself on the line. Again, that's the whole wallflower story. You can't all be wallflowers. You can't put your roots in. You got to actually shake it up and blow with the wind. Building meaningful connections. That is the listening part and the communicating part, and being yourself and being open and honest and actually talking. And then cultivating a supportive network. That is seeing what you have around you and making sure that if you don't have a strong network, build one. So you'll always have someone around to speak to if you need to, talk things out, and it'll have your back. I'm not talking about a bar fight where someone's going to fight for you. I'm talking about having your back, that no one's seen you in 2 or 3 days and they normally see you every day. Someone's going to come check on you. That kind of a network. Okay. I hope that this video spoke to some of you if you needed it, and others, I hope that you listen and, put it in your memory file, and, you might fall back on these ideas later in life. Also, I will be having an advice video coming up sometime soon. I'm not sure when. So if you have questions You want my advice. I mean, who wouldn't want my advice, right? He's an old man sitting in a fur coat in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, who doesn't want to hear from him? Right. If you have an advice question, send it to my email at crankyoldgayguy@gmail.com. Comments on this video are welcome in the comment section following this video. I think that is about it. Someone did ask me where they can ask me questions. Well, again, if there are questions you want answered in an advice situation for an upcoming video, put them in an email. If they're just questions in general, you can leave them in the comment section. Everyone can see them and everyone can reply as well. All right, everyone have a wonderful day. I will see you on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And somebody tell me where this is from. Wednesday. Wednesday. Who pronounces the W's like why? Yes, it's from a commercial and it's from a TV show. That's your trivia question for today. If you can tell me who I'm talking about. Bing, bing, bing. You win points, I guess. All right. I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
In this world of shadows dark, we search for light and find a spark. Underneath the masks we wear, I see your truth, it's hidden there. Wander lonely through the night till we find each other's light. In this maze of twisted lines, you're the reason I feel fine. Finding our tribe in the quiet corners, where love's a flame and the heart's the donor. Building bridges one step at a time. In your eyes I find my rhyme. The road is long, the path is